All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today for our Power Up in Your Personal Brand workshop. Joining us today is Dr. Darren Vetter with a Career and Professional Development Specialist. I will go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Vetter to get us started.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Josh, for the introduction, and happy to be here with everybody. So, welcome to another semester that starts on Tuesday, which will hopefully be great for everybody. Yeah, I've been with Career Services now for about a little over a year, and then been with the Nevada System of Higher Education for over 2 years. So, this is a interesting topic. So, personal brand. I put this on for Rebel Recharge through the Alumni Association back in May of last year. And it turned out to be really interesting. I got a lot of good feedback from it. And so to start out, I'm going to tell you about myself. So when you think of a personal brand, and so I'm getting older now. I've done a few cool things. So I've had my PhD for several years. I've been lucky enough to publish 3 books. I own a couple businesses. So I have all this stuff that kind of goes on both at my life here at UNLV and my life outside. But when people ask me about my personal brand, it's really interesting. So when I was growing up, I was a very young boy when my brother made me water ski. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to sit in the boat. So I literally got thrown out of the boat into the water. I got thrown a water ski and I got thrown a life jacket. So my brother did not even give me 2 water skis. He gave me one. Most people in their water ski life, I know we're in the desert, but most people in their water ski life, they start on 2 skis because it's easier, or they start on an inner tube or something really simple. I didn't. I started on 1 ski. So it took me 9 tries. I got up on 1 ski. I was on a slalom ski. Over the course of the next 6 years, I went from being somebody that learned how to water ski to skiing in my first water ski tournament to qualifying a level up in the group that I was in with water skiing. So I started as a slalom skier. I became really good. And then as I was getting better at slalom skiing, we got into riding jet skis, we got into riding trick skis. And so we had all these other things that were water ski related that we were doing. Then when I went to college, I went to a school called Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas. So San Marcos is down by Austin, Texas. It's in a really populated area full of a lot of lakes, a lot of water. That college, that university that I went to has a water ski team. So it is a club sport for the university. They've had their team for many years. They have sponsorship because they're a club sport. When I got to that university, I had to try out. I went and skied one pass down a slalom course, and they said, "You're on the team." From there, I got to learn to jump. So we used to hit a 5 foot high wood jump on water skis going 30 miles an hour, travel 50 or 60 feet across the air. And then from there, later in life, I ended up building a house on a private water ski lake. I lived on another public ski lake in South Texas. I lived on a third lake later. My parents have a cabin in Missouri that has, guess what, a ski boat and a fishing boat, and it's on a stretch of water to water ski. So over my whole life, I've probably spent more time with water skiing than anything else. But when people ask me if that's my brand, I will say yes. And the reason why it's my brand, that even starting back before I went to college on the water ski team, it was about helping people. So the water ski team, USA Water Ski, the organization, they do a program called Pass the Handle. So they have a day every year where they want you to pass the handle and teach somebody new how to ski. I had a friend a few weeks ago ask me how many people that he thought, or that I thought that I taught to water ski in my life, and I think it's over 100. All my nieces and nephews, I taught them all how to ski. When I think back to the water ski team at the university, we did have a few skiers that knew how to ski but didn't know how to jump or trick ski. And then I think about all the people that I lived with on the lakes that I lived with in my life, and how much information we brought to them, how much information about water skiing. My second book I published is called Water Ski. So it's about a little girl and her dog and how they get involved in water skiing. So it's a water ski book about safety and about tournaments. So that's kind of where my personal brand is and always has been. I still ski 8 to 10 days a year every summer at my parents' place. And I still have a lot of friends that are really involved in water skiing. And so that's been a huge part of my life. So if somebody asks me, "Hey, what's your brand?" That's my brand. So water skiing is my brand. But I wanted to give you the background so you can think of all these different things that I did and places that I lived that kind of built and added to it, because that's what a personal brand takes. It takes adding to information. So in the fancy presentation, which is not working, hang on, maybe it'll work now. Okay, there we go. So what is a brand? What is a personal brand? So it's a process of how we market yourself or market ourselves to others. So this is the best line ever. So we are chief executive officers of our own company, me incorporated. So that's what it is. So the brand's going to be your qualities, your characteristics, how other people view you. It's going to be what people think when they see you, when they see a picture of you, and when they hear you speak. So that's kind of where your brand is when those things are happening. And it's created through professional actions throughout your career. That's how it's developed. And it can be enhanced with publications, with blogs, with posts, with presentations, with social media. I know people that their job is social media influencer because they've been doing so much stuff in social media the past several years. That's really their personal brand, is what they've done because they put all this effort in on the social media side to develop that brand. And so that's kind of what they put together. So, which is, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So like I said, it's just something that's really fun to build. It's something fun to work on. And I try to keep these informal too. So if you guys have any questions, I have the chat open and I will be asking you guys some interactive questions here in a little bit on some different slides and things that we'll go over. So here's the first one that you can comment on if you want. So what do you think when you see the symbol? So when you see this Amazon.com, right? So when you see this thing, this is a huge brand. It's the largest company or one of the largest companies in the world, but Amazon is more recognized across the world now than Apple. So they passed them, I think, earlier last year. So it's recognized as one of the things. So when you see the symbol, what does it make you think? Does it make you think, hey, they're great, they're dependable, they're somebody I can rely on, they're super easy to work with, fast delivery, that's perfect. So when I think of Amazon.com, I think I got to probably order like paper towels or something at the house because maybe I'm missing something. But that's what I think of. But that's what it takes. It's recognition that Amazon has earned over several years of doing the business that they do. And to me, right now, they do things that are amazing. To get something delivered in your house in like 4 hours from who knows wherever it's coming from, that's amazing stuff that they do. So the next one, so brands and business. So in a lot of cases with business, these are generated over time. In some cases, they're generated over generations. So they're built on reputation, they're built on customer service, offering something unique and over time more developed. So when you look at the brand Hershey's, Hershey's has been around for a long, long time. And when you think about the amount of different products and the amount of different things that Hershey's does, it's an amazing company. It's an amazing company to look at their website and look at all the things that they've been involved with. But when you think about quality, like I could ask this to probably 1,000 people. Have you ever had a bad Hershey? Like anybody ever got a bad Hershey Kiss or a bad Hershey's chocolate bar? I would think the answer is probably going to be no because the quality has been so great. But that's something that they've worked on for a long time as a company to make sure it's something that can be recognized and something that's going to have a great quality that people want to keep buying over and over again. So we got a few more of these. These are kind of fun. Personal brand. So what is this personal's brand? Is there any question at all what Martin Luther King's brand was? I say absolutely not. He stood for equal rights. He stood for equality. He stood for everything that was important to try to help a group of people. But what he did had such a passion with it too. To me, that made him one of the best. So when you see a picture of him, and that's one of my favorite pictures of Martin Luther King, is that you knew exactly what his brand was and you knew exactly what he was trying to do. And to me, those are really, really great things. So then the first group question that I had on my list today is, what does passion have to do with a personal brand? Anybody want to comment? I could type those in too, I guess, and make this even easier. Good. What motivates you? Very good. Josh, and if it's the shy group, I won't wait super long in between these. There you go.
There's
There you go. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, they're coming in now.
yeah,
Oh, these are good. Yeah, what motivation, commitment to your cause? Absolutely. That's a great answer. Passions, music, personal brands, since it is a part of my life. Absolutely. Something that you love. That's what it is. In some cases, it's something that you love and that you care about. And you become well educated on the subject. Those are excellent. Nice work, guys and girls. This is excellent. You guys are doing good. So this is a slide that everybody told me to take out. I left it in. I've left it in the whole time. So this is a good example though too. So when you look at a picture of Mr. Tom Brady, who now plays for wonderful Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what is his personal brand? Is there really a question about his brand and what he stands for? And the answer to this one is there is. So I picked Tom Brady because of how unique his situation is and his life has been. So he's a Super Bowl champion. He's won it more than anybody. He's won it 7 times. He's won the MVP for the NFL, I think 1 or 2 times. He holds almost every record that the NFL is going to have because he's going to play for another 23 or 24 years or whatever. So he's a great athlete. The funny part is, like, when you think about his Super Bowls that he won a couple of them because his kickers kicked field goals too. So you got to think about the team that he had around him, and you would assume that what he stands for is really being competitive and being somebody who's driving to win and is leading those other people. But he's got this whole other mess that's going on right now outside of it. So he is a business owner. He owns a company called TB12. They do a whole lot variety of sports equipment. They do some supplements, things like that. He's already signed a contract. So some people know about this, some people don't. He's already signed like a 10-year contract with Fox to become a football announcer if and when he ever retires. He might play football till he's like 30 or 40 years old. But this is a great example of somebody, when you talk about a personal brand too, that they do represent a lot of other things too. He's also a parent, he's got children too. So when you look at those things in people's personal brand, it doesn't have to just be one thing. So that's the whole thing with this too. It can be a variety of different things. You can be passionate about many things. We teach this in our life design program we teach here at Career Services. So you can be passionate about many things. And so in this guy's case, he definitely was passionate about many things. So are there any bad brands? So, and if there's any bad ones, if so, and why? There is, with different things or different companies, bad customer service. There are bad products. There is bad warranty with products. There's bad follow-up with different services and products, bad service in general from some things, and some companies or some things are just bad at everything. They're terrible at all of it. So what does their personal brand then become? It becomes something that's negative, unfortunately, due to whatever circumstances is created. But don't worry, it happens. So with this part in our presentation today, can people create a bad brand for themselves? And if they do, is it possible for a person to have a or have a brand that is not good, appealing, or interesting? So is it possible to have something negative? And then can anybody think of somebody who's got a brand that's tarnished? This will be a fun one to hear from this group. Anybody that can think of anything, and you don't have to use a popular person or whatever, but if you can, you think of somebody that their brand got tarnished by anything they did? Because I have one example that's not great. Josh, you can participate too if you got anything.
The ones I would have said are already been said in the chat.
Okay, there you go. So if we tried to identify a person, so a person that did something bad for their brand, I believe we had a president a few years ago that did not have appropriate relations with an intern. Everybody know who I'm talking about? So I bring that up because this is a leader of the country, leader of the free world, right? He's the president of the United States. Should that have ever even gotten close to happening? No. Did that affect the rest of his career? Yes. So that's something that negative that happened to this person that did through whatever choices. It's not about work. We're not worried about the choices that were made, but it's something that happened where that identification now, probably people probably think more of that than they do about the good that he did, because that person actually did a lot of good things at the same time. So that's a thing to always think about. You never want to have anything bad or anything tarnish your personal brand or anything that is negative. And don't worry, we got a slide here in a second about some companies that have some good stuff about brands. All right. So bad brands or bad products this is a great popular brand. So the brand Wrigley is very respected. It's been around for a bazillion years now. And so it's super, super popular. So anybody in this chat, has anybody ever had this gum? Like this exact yellow pack of Wrigley's gum? Has anybody ever had this? Nobody? And maybe none of you, if none of you did, then you have won everything, because it is a terrible, terrible product. So the flavor on it lasts for about 2.5 seconds. It's been voted one of the worst products ever made when it comes to chewing gum. It's ranked terribly just because the flavor doesn't last. What's its goal? Its goal is to be chewing gum. How long should chewing gum last? It should last a while, right? Like probably 5 or 10 minutes at least, or whatever, to be worth your while for the amount paid. But this is one of the worst products that comes from one of the best companies. They have a lot of other things that are great too, but I picked this one up because it's so funny. That yellow pack, I think, is still around and you can still buy it. But is it a very good gum? No, it is not. So one of the most interesting brands. So Red Bull energy drink, the company Red Bull's been around for a long time. Unfortunately, their developer and their owner passed away a few weeks ago. But when you look at Red Bull and you see it, like, what does the company Red Bull stand for? The problem is they represent about 8 different things. So they have cars in Formula One racing. They are a sponsor and they represent riders in motocross. They are a sponsor for cliff diving, which is extreme cliff diving, where they're jumping off hundreds of feet in the air into water. So they do a lot with soccer. So they have a whole lot of different things that are going on. And then also with sailing. But one of the other things that Red Bull does is Red Bull is very interested in setting records. So a few years ago, a guy tried to do the world record free fall. He went up in a spaceship, jumped out, and did a free fall for over in New Mexico and landed. What was on that guy's legs of his spacesuit he wore? Red Bull. So that's kind of a funny thing about this. And then I always tell people, oh yeah, don't forget Red Bull actually does make energy drinks too. So that's kind of a good one to show you when talking about a brand, like all these different things that they do. And then we are in Vegas, of course. So what is this guy's personal brand? And was there any question ever about what this guy's personal brand was? So Elvis did a lot in his career, in his time in music, the songs that he sang, the concerts, the way he performed. He got in a little bit of trouble for different things that he was doing because they weren't accepted at the time, because he was doing too much of whatever that society didn't look very favorably upon. But he was passionate about music. It was all the time music. He was focused everything that he could, all of his energy on performing for any size groups of people. And he did a great job of that too. And I know we still got a few of those guys that are around the strip running around wearing that same costume today. So, which is not a bad thing. So moving on. So how do you create a personal brand and what makes it? What are the parts and pieces of a personal brand? So first of all, it's going to be accomplishments. It's going to be things that you did. You guys are all working towards a part of that because you guys are all working towards your second degree. So that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big part of accomplishments that you have done. There's other things that you can do here at UNLV that you may be involved with, student organizations, things like that. Those are all part of accomplishments and get added to that. It's what you stand for. If you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about helping people, if you're passionate about helping kids with cancer, if you're passionate about helping homeless people, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's what you stand for. So you stand for that you're going to help these people, or you're going to do this or act a certain way, the person that you are. So if you're kind, caring, concerning, if you're a person that's a leader, you like to stand up, take charge, it's that person. Those are those traits that helps develop your personal brand. The traits and characteristics and how you exhibit yourself to others. So when people see you come into a room, some people light up a room when they come in too. We have some famous people that do that. When they come into the room just lights up because their personality is so vibrant, the way they talk is so vibrant. So it's those traits and characteristics that they exhibit to others. And it's how you handle yourself in different situations. So this comes up a lot, and this will continue to come up a lot as you guys get farther into your education, as you guys get into employment. It's how you handle yourself in difficult situations, how you handle yourself in easy situations. If you ever become a manager, how you work with your employees, how you work with other managers, how you work with companies, things like that you might have relationships later. And then what have you done, created, or stayed focused on too? We have a lot of people in this world that their personal brand is their authors. They've written great books. They've done a great job. When you think about movie producers, there's certain movie producers that are known for certain types of movies that are full of action, movies that are full of drama. And so those people have done things and they created those things, but they've stayed focused on them. So they continue to work on those. So kind of polishing their craft, so to speak, and then seeking to continually make yourself better. So you're always looking for improvement. You don't have to be perfect at everything, but you're always trying to find ways to improve things just to make yourself better. If I do this, I might be better at another part of my life. Or if I try to improve on this may help with something else. I always look at things at the end of the day. Hey, what did I do good at the end of my day at UNLV? Did I do good things here? Yes, I helped this student, I helped this student. So that was really great. So I'm going to try to build upon that for the next day. And that's a way to keep trying to build what I'm personally doing here every day at UNLV while I'm at my job. And then you just start with questions. So where do you see yourself in 1 to 3 years? So like what kind of time frame do you want to do to develop what you want to be? How does work and skills fit into the world you want to live in? So how do those things come together? What kind of projects are interesting to you? What kind of people do you want to work with are very important. What do you want people to do after visiting your website? So this is a good one for companies. Companies have been using this exact line for a while now too, because people are always like, oh yeah, we got a great website. And so the question is to them is, well, what do you want them to do after they visit your website? So, right. So like if you have somebody that goes to a website for a car dealer or something and they go look at your cars on your website, what do you want them to do after that? You probably want them to go to a dealership and buy a car. So that's kind of how that stuff works. But that's what they always ask about websites. Hey, websites are great, but it's what do you want people to do after they look at it? And then if someone was telling a potential coworker about you, what would you want them to say? Hey, so and so is a great coworker. They are always on time. They're hardworking. They're always assisting when other people need help. So it's things like that that become very important that add to the personal brand. Any questions yet on any of this? I know I'm going pretty fast, but I'm trying to keep up. So nothing. Okay, so we will continue. So this is the little short bio. This is actually a thing from Mad Libs, believe it or not. So this exercise came out when we were working on a personal brand thing a long time ago. So it's pretty simple. It's I'm a blank. I help blank make or build blank. When I'm not blank, you can find me blank. Do you want to work together? I'd love to hear from you. So when you look at this, I got some fill-in answers for this thing. Where did it go? So an example, I'm a doctor. I help patients by caring for them. When I'm not working with patients, you can find me researching disease. So if anybody wants to practice this or anybody wants to share one of those, feel free to do so in the chat. But this is one that they use a lot about personal brand because it's telling you right away, I'm X, I am a blank, I'm this person. What do? I help make or build whatever. And then when I'm not doing that, you can find me. So it gives a lot of information about yourself by using this short little bio to give some just information that's, hey, this is me, here's what I do. Here's what I help build or help do. And then when I'm not doing that, you can find me. So we did this presentation and we did this with some other people in time. And they had some really fun stuff on here because a few of them were really great. They said, when I'm not working, you can find me playing with my kids or helping my kids. And I was like, that's excellent because they're focusing on their family besides what their job was too. And I had several people that responded the same way with that one, which is really good. And then that last line, do you want to work together? I'd love to hear from you. So it's a great way to put that together with that short little bio. So putting the bio together, start off with a strong magnetizing headline, so information that's really good. We do a lot of stuff here at Career Services with brand. So when you think about personal brand and branding statements, we help a lot of students before a career fair. So when you get to a career fair and we have 208 employers there last time, we're expecting like 240. We may hit 300 this year. We're not done yet. I'm trying to figure out how many people. But when you go up and talk to recruiters, there's a whole bunch of students. We had 1,000 students and 200 employers there. So you want to kind of have your little speech ready. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm good at this and this. I've learned this in my school program. I've had part-time jobs in this, so I'm experienced with this. That's why I'd be a good candidate for your company. So it's things like that to think about. So it's a magnetizing headline. So we try to help students and even alumni with those on getting those ready for the career fair. Make the target audience value proposition extremely clear on who your target audience is and what you're trying to do. Share more about yourself. You can be personal, you can be vulnerable, be human. Include images of yourself to connect with your audience. So this is why, and we'll get to LinkedIn in a second. So when we do LinkedIn profiles, we push for a really good LinkedIn image of yourself. Make sure your picture is really good. Make sure we can see your face, see your smile. So make sure those images connect with what your audience is. Prove you know what you're talking about, and credibility. So your personal experiences and past achievements, you can include all of those and put those together. And then keep it short and sweet. Put the most information on top, edit it, and read it out loud is the best way to put that together. So that's on the bio. So then the next part, we'll talk about LinkedIn for a little bit here. So LinkedIn is the #1 professional networking site in the world. Here at Career Services, we do a lot of consultations with students and with alumni that we can help you go over your LinkedIn profile, help you go through it, help you add different things to it, and help you work on making connections and the different types of connections for what you want to do. There's over 875 million users. That's going to be 900 and not very long the way it's growing. It's in over 200 countries in 25 different languages. And LinkedIn is so busy right now. I think that's another thing that they're going to try to do is add a few more languages to the amount that they're covering. It is definitely a place to create a personal brand and establish your identity. It's the oldest social network still in use today. So 6 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute, which that sounds ridiculous, but that's actually true. So every minute, 6 people are hired through LinkedIn. Lots of recruiters on LinkedIn. So when you guys get to job hunting, if you're job hunting now, let us know. There is a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn. And then we have 58 million companies that are on LinkedIn. So like normally I do a poll here. Do any or all of you have LinkedIn accounts? And if you're trying to type in a Y or an N for yes or no, yes, excellent, yes, excellent. Everybody would get 100%. That'll be great. Yes, great, great. Okay. Yes and not updated. That's all right. Excellent. That's good. Good response. I like it. Oh, I got one no. That's okay. That's okay. You got time. Career services, we're here to help you. So the digital badges, that's a good question that you put in the chat. So the digital badges are on there, and yes, they will get looked at. Um, LinkedIn has its own LinkedIn Learning that will put badges in there, but our UNLV, so through Career Services, we launched a program last year called Career Launch. On Career Launch, we have 6 different badges that can be earned. They go back through LinkedIn Learning on completing courses. It's about an hour per course. So you're looking at about a 6 or an 8-hour day to do all of them. But it's topics like communication, leadership, things like that that are really easy to put on there. And those badges will plop right down on there. And yes, so on LinkedIn, make sure your profile is public. You can add that looking to work or willing to work or whatever, you can put that on there. But we hear from more recruiters right now that are going to LinkedIn first. And another quick note is we've had 2 employer panels in 2022 before our career fairs where we had 5 or 6 different employers that were here from like a variety of different companies. Caesars was here, Las Vegas Police Department was here, North Las Vegas Police Department was here. We had Opportunity Village. So we had a variety of people that were here, and all those employers say right now they're going to LinkedIn. So that's one of the ways that they're looking for employees, but that's one of the ways that they're also looking for people. If they see a resume, sometimes they take that resume and they go look at a LinkedIn profile too. So excellent comments in there. So LinkedIn 101, so a lot of you already know this. So optimize the profile, put your headline to work. You can brand your profile, believe it or not. Tell people what you're doing. So put posts on there. Yes, for remote work, Evelyn. Yes, there is quite a bit of remote work that's still on LinkedIn. Yes. Um, Speak for yourself and speak about what you can do for a company. So put that information on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm getting all this experience. I have things that I can do to help. I have this education that I'm working on or that I'm continuing to work on. And then find and invite people to join your network on LinkedIn. So one thing about LinkedIn too that's talked about a lot is like the give and take of LinkedIn. So say you have a friend on LinkedIn and you know your friend, if you go to their profile, you can go down to their skills and you can endorse them. So that's like one easy way in LinkedIn to try to give out to the people that you're connected with. Go in there and click, oh yeah, my friend's great at Microsoft Office. Oh, my friend's great at customer service. And you can click and endorse those. And you'll see some people with like 25 or 30 endorsements on their skills that are listed on LinkedIn. So that's part of the give and take from LinkedIn. And the other great thing about LinkedIn too is the messaging system on there is actually really good. There's very little spam garbage that comes across there. So if you ever see somebody on LinkedIn, you want to get to know them and you send them a note through LinkedIn, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a reply, which is great. So give first, recommend to others, ask those questions. Joining different groups and following different groups is a great key for that also. Ask and answer questions. So if people send you messages and ask you questions, always try to answer those and follow up, give people the feedback that they're looking for, or try to help them out if they're looking for assistance with something. Put content on there. So if you have achievements that you've done, so when you get your degree, put that on there. So any achievements that you've done or anything great that you might accomplish, if you publish something, if you attended a conference, those things are great to put on LinkedIn because that's what it's full of. It's full of professional attendance and professional information about things that are like that. And then it's a great tool to research companies too. So when we have our career fairs on campus, we encourage students, hey, go to your Handshake. Through Handshake, you can research the companies that are on Handshake, but also outside of that too, you can also check them out on LinkedIn, see what kind of posts that they do, see what kind of information that they do. So that's a great place for that also. And then find job openings. The job search too, because you guys have mentioned some things about looking for like remote work and stuff. The job search feature on LinkedIn is pretty decent. So I think Indeed might be the best right now after Handshake, of course. So we always want to go to Handshake first, but Indeed has done a pretty good job. But LinkedIn does have a little bit different variety of jobs that are on there, and they do have a pretty decent amount of jobs that are on there. So Josh, I hope this works. So I'm going to share Tony Gladney, he is a friend of ours and a friend of UNLV, so hopefully this works. And so tell me if there's a problem. Josh, can you see that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So that worked out. So Tony is a good friend of UNLV Career Services, but he is also a friend, a really good close friend of my boss, Eileen. So we use Tony a couple times before to look at his site to see what a great site that he's got. So if you look at Tony's site, and we won't spend a whole lot of time on this because a lot of you already have your LinkedIn profiles, but his picture, very professional, the information, inspirational corporate influencer, and innovator of purpose impacting others. He lists his employment over there. He's got UNLV over there. He's got a lot of followers. So he's got 1,900, almost 2,000 followers on his page. So when you go down here, the highlights, so me and Tony both have worked at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And then you see his activity. So he's got a bunch of different activity on here and a bunch of different information. So an example of this one that's great that we talked about giving and receiving. Join me in congratulating my wife, my best friend, a longtime champion. So he's making a comment about his wife, who actually had at a function here on campus several months ago, so we got to meet her. And then when you go down here to Tony's About section, so this is where some people do a great job with this, and some people could add even more. Tony's is humongous on how much information he's got about. So this goes way down. Team accomplishments and awards, personal awards, mergers and acquisitions that he was part of, board participation, and then speaking engagements. So he lists a lot of stuff on his About section, which is totally okay to do. Check out his experience so you can see his work history, education. So you go down here to UNLV. And then so here's the skills. So you look at Tony's connections and what Tony's done. So he's got 99 plus endorsements on a ton of stuff. He's got 50 total skills. I always tell students and alumni, don't sell yourself short on the skills section when you're doing your LinkedIn profile. Put everything that you know that you're good at in there. So don't skip anything. Don't think anything, oh, this may not be good to put on there. I'm like, put them all on there because that part really stands out. And then we got publications down here. So corporate responsibility on a grand scale. So MGM's outreach program, and then his interests. So what he likes to do. So this is an example of a really good, really inclusive profile from LinkedIn that is keeping it, he has everything on here. So he has done a great job. So when you look at that, there's not much question on, hey, who is this guy? What is this going on here? This is pretty easy to look at him and try to get a really good idea and see what all Tony is about. So let me see if I can get back to the presentation, and I could. So Josh, that still works, right? Is that the same view you guys had?
I'm sorry.
Is that the same view you guys had? Is that correct? Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay. All right, so that was Tony's. And then everybody on this call, feel free. You can connect with me, Darren Vetter, on LinkedIn also, and I will accept your connection and then I'll check out yours too and see what you guys have on there. So anybody on this call, so several of you are already on LinkedIn, which is great. So here's kind of the group questions. Has anybody on LinkedIn ever been contacted about a job? Have they been contacted about an activity related to a current job? Contacted about anything posted? Something interesting on your profile? Or anybody got any other interesting situations from LinkedIn that they want to share? And if y'all don't, that's fine. And you might. The interesting thing that I have with LinkedIn is I've grown my connections quite a bit. So I am getting a lot of LinkedIn messages every week that are coming from alumni. So there we go. So we got a few MLM messages, unfortunately. Okay, well, that happens too. But the thing that I'm seeing more alumni coming to me now because they see my information on there. I have connections all over the place now, and they'll say, "Hey, you're with Career Services. Aren't they free?" And I'm like, yes, for alumni, they're free forever. And I've made a lot of appointments with alumni just directly through LinkedIn. I've even used LinkedIn messaging for different things on reviewing resumes for people and just different things like that that I've got connections with too. So how do you put yourself willing to work without having to say that I'm offering a service? So the willing to work thing I know is right below your picture on the profile when you're doing up your profile. Um, if you're talking about a service, if you are offering a service, put that in your about section. So in your about section, you can put that information in there and you can type in, you can put, I'm whatever service you're offering. I'm offering music lessons or whatever. I do a lot of consulting that I don't really want to do, but I end up doing it. So I just put in my about section, I'm available for consultation. Please reach out to me through LinkedIn, and I get consultation requests all the time to that. So great questions on there. But yeah, you'll start to see more different things that are coming across too. And like I said, the good thing with the messaging system is it's pretty well protected and they do a pretty good job. So you hardly see that much spam or junk that comes in there. Occasionally you'll see some, but not too often. So anybody got anything else? Okay, we will go on. I'm watching the clock. Okay. So then tips for the profiles. So have a great profile picture. You can add a background photo where we're looking at Tony's picture. It's just Tony's face. The background was gray. You can actually add a background photo to that if you want. If you want a skyline of Vegas or whatever you like or whatever, anything like that, you can add a background photo on there also. So headline is more than a job title. So put more than that information on there. Turn your summary into a story too. So we just looked at Tony's summary, which went way up and down. He put a ton of stuff in there, which is great. As I mentioned before, list all of your skills, spotlight the services you offer. So that goes back to our chat question we just had. If there is something that you can offer, because it's an open forum too. So if you're offering tutoring services or if you're offering anything, you can put that on there. And one of the safest ways for people to contact you is through LinkedIn and have them use the messaging system for anything that you're trying to offer like that. So that's one way to do that for sure. Spread the endorsement love. So don't forget to go and look at people's skills and endorse them for what they're good at. Skills assessment, verified skills and badging. LinkedIn Learning, I think all of us that have an ACES account do have access to LinkedIn Learning, and that is included with UNLV. So there are a lot of LinkedIn Learning classes on there, and there's a bunch of them that are really good. So depending on what you're looking at in the future and like how much spare time that you have, there are classes on a lot of different subjects because we go into their library and they keep adding more and more to that. There is a ton of stuff on LinkedIn Learning. So now they owe me for promoting LinkedIn Learning today. So comments, share relevant content, and then follow relevant influencers in your industry. On LinkedIn, I try to follow stuff to me that's interesting. Things like City of Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders. I follow pretty much everything that we have posted for UNLV and the different schools and colleges that we have here. And it's surprising how much information that I'll get from the things that I follow on checking that feed once a day and looking at it, especially things from like the city of Las Vegas on different things that are happening. The other day they had a picture of the Dream Hotel, which is getting built next to the Pinball Hall of Fame. And so I hadn't seen a picture of that because I haven't been down there. And so there's different things like that that you can look at. There's also pages on LinkedIn too that you can follow that have a variety of information in a variety of different areas. So if you're into writing, there's a whole bunch of different book publishers and things like that to follow that are books related. If you're into music, there's different things that are musical related. If you're into sports, there's a ton of sports information that's on there too. So keep all that in mind. So a couple more quick things for you guys and then we'll be finished. So resumes and cover letters. So your brand. So the resume and the cover letter is really your information that's presented for them to evaluate you. So as a future employee, the word resume really means summary. So the resume is going to be the summary of your education, your employment, and this gives an employer a feel for your skills and abilities. So resume should include aspects of your brand. So if there's things that you can do that are related to what you want to have for your brand, your resume should include aspects of that. The cover letter is there to kind of back up the resume. So it's there to enhance the resume and offer more descriptions, and it should include a passion for why you want the job you're applying to. So we do a lot of work with cover letters at Career Services, and we have a lot of examples on our website, our Career Services website. So there's a lot of good information on there on different examples of cover letters, how to put those together and what kind of information you on there. But believe it or not, a lot of employers, they do like a passion statement. Hey, I want to work for your company because I had a friend that had trouble with cancer, and that's why I want to work for a group that supports cancer research. Things like that have been put on cover letters before that have been very good things to see on cover letters, and a lot of employers have really enjoyed looking at that. So the cover letter has the interest statement, so contains the backup information on your skills, the experience, the skills, the background, and then the best way to write a cover letter brand. And so this is what we do with almost every single student and every alumni we talk to. It's usually at the end of the first paragraph. So the first paragraph in the cover letter will say, hey, I want to apply for this position with your company. And then it might say something like, I've just finished my last year of school and now I'm ready to pursue employment. And then it's my blank, blank, and blank make me an excellent candidate for this opportunity. So we really end up putting that on almost every cover letter that we do. I have that on my own personal cover letters that I do. It can say my experience, management skills, and ability to work with others make me an excellent candidate for this opportunity. It could be another industry like accounting, my math skills, my computational ability, things like that. So depending on whatever it is, that's a simple little line to put into use anytime that you are working on a cover letter. So, any help you guys need on this anytime in the future? So contact UNLV Career Services so we can help with the LinkedIn profiles, skills assessments, things like that. And then Handshake, if you don't have a Handshake account set up, we can help you with getting that account set up. And then through Handshake is all the job postings that we have that are approved through the university. I think as of yesterday, there's like 5,800 internships and 16,000 jobs that are posted. And then right now we're getting a bunch of on-campus jobs that are posted too. So that's career services and our phone number. And I think that is it. Our social media. We got a new social media person. So we have new social media stuff coming. So which is all good. So all right, Josh, that is stop sharing. There we go.
Looks like we actually got a question in the chat. Can you talk a little more about what I would call brand mismatch? I know individuals who declare very boldly that they are X, Y, and Z, and I must admit that my experiences with them did not show those skills. If I see that in others, it makes sense that someone might perceive a mismatch in me. Thoughts on combating this, or does it matter?
So a brand mismatch. So bold either X, Y, and Z, and experience with them does not show any of those skills. That's interesting. So that is going to be a brand mismatch. So it would probably matter on like what types of areas they're working with. Like if their brand is a certain thing and they're trying to go after that certain thing and they're not representing it at all, um, I would perceive that as a mismatch. I mean, if your brand is a certain thing, especially when you're applying for jobs too, and when you're looking for jobs and you're carrying a certain set of skills into that job, you have to be able to show that and demonstrate that. So that's Karen, that's a weird one. Um, that's interesting. Yeah, I would perceive that as a little bit of mismatch. I don't know how you would combat that. That may just be somebody too that we teach life design here all the time. Life design talks about like just the normal path of life. Interests change, things that you like change. What you're interested in at 15 years old is not the same as 25 years old or 35 years old or 45 years old, how that changes. And that may be somebody going through something like that too, is what it could be. That's me being a psychologist, but that's interesting. That's a great question. Yeah, I tried my best to answer that. Holy cow.
All right. Well, if there is no more questions, thank you so much, Dr. Vetter, for sharing your time and expertise with us today. And thank you to all of our participants for joining us to expand their knowledge. We will be posting this workshop, like I said earlier, on the Graduate College. Oh, one more question. In the PowerPoint PPT?
I can send it. Josh, do you guys need it? Do you need the PowerPoint?
Yeah, if you send it to me, I can email it out. If y'all that want it wouldn't mind dropping your emails, and I can send that out to y'all as soon as,
Yeah,
yeah, so go ahead and just drop your emails and I can send it to you.
I'll shoot
And I
it to you as
can,
soon as we're done.
yeah, I'll go ahead and send you my email, Dr. Vetter.
Man, just walk down the hall. I mean,
I'll just knock on your door. Here you go. That you do. All right, awesome. Okay, well, like I said also earlier, we'll be posting this workshop on the Graduate College YouTube channel for your reference later on if you'd like to rewatch anything. Um, and there is no workshop at 3 p.m. So it looks like that's all that we have today. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much again, Dr. Vetter.
no problem, man. Appreciate it.
All right, and I will go ahead and send that out.